Great to see a good audience here and a large audience here. Honorable Minister Simon Chelugoi, the Principal Secretaries present here today, leaders from other distinguished organizations, and of course, our fellow entrepreneurs who are all come in big numbers here, and distinguished speakers. First of all, good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here with you today at this SME convention. Manufacturing SME plays a driving a role in our 20 by 30 agenda. As we all know, SMEs are the backbone of our economy. You are the innovators, the risk takers, and the creators of employment opportunities. You are the ones who contribute to the growth of the economy, and doing with limited resources in the face of several challenges. But that does not stop you from striving towards success and making your mark in the world. Today, you have the opportunity to learn from each other, experiences and successes, to exchange ideas, and to explore opportunities for collaboration. This convention provides you with a platform to discuss the challenges you face, to brainstorm solutions, and to share your best practices. Together, you can find new and innovative ways to overcome these challenges and build a thriving SME ecosystem. I encourage you to take full advantage of this opportunity, to engage in fruitful discussions, and to learn from the speakers who will be sharing their experiences and insights with us today. Buenos dias. Allow me to highlight how KAM intends to prioritize the 20 by 30 agenda through the 4 key pillars. The first pillar is around global competitiveness. This is the bedrock and the fundamental pillar for any business or any industry to succeed. I say so because we have become a global village. We no longer talk about domestic competitiveness or regional competitiveness. We talk about global competitiveness because goods find their way across the globe from the more competitive countries to the less competitive countries. And this is where we tend to import more from countries that are the net exporters because they're competitive. Hence, global competitiveness becomes an important pillar. From a KAM perspective, how do we drive global competitiveness? Twofold. One is, as we advocate with government to create the conducive environment, conducive tax environment, conducive regulatory environment, so that our businesses are supported well and the cost of doing business is easing. On the inward side, we also look at how we can make our members more competitive from their own internal efficiencies. We also promote lean manufacturing, promote adoption of technologies. Nowadays, there are so many different technologies, Internet of Things, and also things like automation, which play an important role in us becoming more competitive and more efficient. And by doing so, we reduce our cost of production. I then move to the second pillar, which is export-led growth. Buenos dias, it becomes very important that if we want to industrialize as a nation, we have to drive exports. Our domestic markets are limited. We have a growing population and the population which is being able to consume more. But if we want to kind of look at growth, economic growth of 10%, then we have to export. It also is important that our balance of payment becomes positive in our favor, in line with improving our foreign exchange reserves. And for that, we need to export. But export doesn't just necessarily But export doesn't necessarily only mean just exporting raw produce. We have to do more value add. And this is what KAM is propagating for, encouraging more of value addition of our products before we export them, so that we derive more value out of them. And this is going to be a pillar that we are going to drive more aggressively, so that, and this is of course also the government's pillar around driving economic growth. Yes, the third pillar is what we call industrialized agriculture, or what we have now framed as agriculture for industry. Our economy is primarily driven around agriculture. 35% of our membership is directly or indirectly dealing with agriculture. They are in the food and beverage business, where the raw materials are the agricultural output coming from the growers and the farmers. And this then becomes very important, how we are able to link our agro-processors, our off-takers, with the growers, who are the farmers. And I'm going to allude a little bit more on the kind of initiatives we are just taking around that. The fourth pillar is SME development. And by far, it's not the least important, that's why it's down there. It is extremely important that we recognize that SME plays a very significant role in this economy. As what Anthony just mentioned, 30% of our GDP is driven by SMEs. 80% of employment is created by SMEs. We cannot afford to ignore that. And this is why SME stands as a very deliberate fourth pillar in driving our 20 by 30 agenda. Yes, let me just give you an example of what the initiatives we are doing. All these four pillars are interconnected. They don't stay in silos. Even for an SME to grow, they need to be globally competitive. They need to look at driving exports. To do that, we need to create market access for these SMEs. We need to go out there and look where they can be able to develop markets beyond the domestic markets. We need to build their capacities around financial capabilities, technical capabilities. That's where KAM will play a very significant role through the SME hub, to make sure that our SMEs are developing the right skill sets to be able to export and to be able to be globally competitive. I would like to kind of share an initiative that we have just started at KAM around agriculture for industry. And as I mentioned to you, we want to link our agro-processors with our growers. And Bana Waziri, your ministry will play a very significant role there. Cooperatives were the way things used to be organized in the past. When farmers used to be organized through cooperatives, it becomes much easier for off-takers, our members, to be able to then work with those entities to be able to kind of ensure that they give an assured market for the produce for the farmers. And this is one area that we feel that KAM can collaborate with government to develop and organize these farming groups. We have 24 value chains we have identified across the whole agriculture food chain, and agriculture and the food chain, where our members have a lot of difficulty being able to procure the goods at the right price, of the right quality, and at the right time. And by doing and linking this and ensuring that we play a role in ensuring how we can partner with these farmers through these organized entities, I believe we can create a very valued co-partnership and an ecosystem. We can also plan to bring in other players in this ecosystem who are technically supporting the farmers to be able to use best practices to grow and farm, bring the financiers to finance the whole ecosystem, and bring insurance companies to insure the crop of these farmers. And I believe through that, we can actually see farmers on, and these are the SMEs, on a better income, and at the same time, our members being able to be assured of the quality and the quantities that they desire. I would like to give my own personal example, Bana Waziri. Way back in 1998, when I started in the milling industry, in the grain milling industry, we went out to Moisbridge. And I found a photographer. His job was just doing photography, was earning a few shillings here and there. We encouraged him to be our buyer of maize on the ground there. Fast forward 20 years down the line, and he is now not only he's created a buying center, he has set up his own flour mill, he has multiple farms, and this is really a true story of how an SME becomes a large-scale business. So I believe large manufacturers play a significant role. They play a role in the whole value system to support these SMEs, and there is a lot we can continue doing. Waziri, I would like to conclude by first of all saying that as an industry, we remain committed to driving key discussions at national and county level aimed at developing policies that favor the growth of SMEs and the protection of infant industries through our manufacturing SME hub. Our focus shall be on creating a favorable environment for SMEs to flourish and ensure that they are the center of discourse on matters development. Notably, stakeholders are progressively demanding this or dismantling one size fits all approaches and finding more nuanced ways to intervene and uplift the SME sectors. We laud the government's increasing focus on to drive SME growth in the country through the initiatives such as the Hustler Fund. We shall continue to engage the government on nurturing SMEs as part of our efforts to drive the competitiveness of local industry. I wish all the participants who are gathered here today all the best in your engagements this morning, and let's find some very fruitful engagements going forward. Thank you very much. Allow me now to invite our Principal Secretary for Industry and MITI, Dr. Juma Mukwana, to address us. Thank you.